Okay. August 20th, Esther 8:1 through 10:3. On that day, King Ahasuerus gave Queen Esther the house of Haman, the enemy of the Jews, and Mordecai came before the king, and Esther had told him how he was related to her. So the king took off his signet ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai, and Esther appointed Mordecai over the house of Haman. Now Esther spoke again to the king, fell down at his feet, and implored him with tears to counteract the evil that Haman the Agagite and the schism which he had devised against the Jews. And the king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, if it so pleases the king, and I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seems right to the king, and I am pleasing in his eyes, let it please be written to revoke the letters devised by Haman, the son of the Hamadiah, the Agagite, which he wrote to annihilate the Jews, who are all in the king's providences. For how can I endure to see the evil that will come to my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my countrymen? Then King Xerxes said to Queen Esther and Mordecai the Jew, indeed, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and they have hanged him on the gallows, because he tried to lay hand on the Jews. You yourselves write a decree concerning the Jews, as you as you please, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's signet ring. For whatever is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's signet ring, no one can revoke. So the king's scribes were called at that time in the third month, which is the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded to the Jews, the satraps, and the governors, and the princes of the provinces from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces in all. To every province in its own script, to every people in their own language, and to the Jews in their own script and language. And he wrote in the name of King Xerxes, sealed it with the king's signet ring, and sent letters by couriers on horseback, riding on royal horses bred from the Swiss steeds. In these letters, the king permitted the Jews who were in every city to gather together and protect their lives, to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the forces of any people or province that would assault them, both little children and women, and to plunder their possessions. On one day in all the provinces, King Xerxes, on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, a copy of the document was to be issued as a decree in every province and published for all the people, so that the Jews would be ready on the day to avenge themselves on their enemies. The couriers rode on royal horses, went out, hastened, impressed by the king's command, and the decree was issued in Shushan, the citadel. So Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in the royal apparel of blue and white, and a great crown of gold, and a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness, joy and honor. And in every province and city, wherever the king's command and decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a holiday, that many of the people of the land became Jews because fear of the Jews fell upon them. Now, in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day, the time came for the king's command and his decree to be executed. On that day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them. To oppose the opposite occurred, and the Jews themselves overpowered those who hated them. And the Jews gathered together in their cities throughout all the provinces of King Ahasuerus to lay hands on those who sought their harm. And no one could withstand them, because the fear of them fell on all the people. And all the officials of the provinces, the satraps, the governors, and all those doing the king's work helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's palace, and his fame spread throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai became increasingly prominent. Thus the Jews defeated all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, with slaughter and destruction, and did what they pleased to those who hated them. And in Shushan, the citadel, the Jews killed and destroyed 500 men. Also, Parasada, Daphon, Asvan, Parah, Alan, Adaran, Parshamatha, Esrai, Adari, and Vahajartha, the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hamadiah, the enemy of the Jews, they killed, but they did not lay hand on the plunder. On that day, the number of those who were killed in Shushan and the citadel was brought to the king. And the king said to Queen Esther, "The Jews have killed and destroyed 500 men in Shushan, the citadel, and the 10 sons of Haman. What they have done what have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now, what is your petition? It shall be granted to you. Or what shall your further request? It shall be done." Then Esther said, "If it pleases the king, let it be granted to the Jews who are in Shushan to do again tomorrow according to today's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged on the gallows." So the king commanded this to be done, and the decree was issued in Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. And the Jews who were in Shushan gathered together again on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and killed 300 men at Shushan, but they did not lay hand on the plunder. The remainder of the Jews in the king's provinces gathered together and protected their lives, had rest from their enemies, and killed 75,000 of their enemies, but they did not lay a hand on the plunder. This was on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th of the month they rested and made it a day of feast and gladness. But the Jews who were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day, as well as the 14th, and on the 15th of the month they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore, the Jews of the villages who dwelt in the unwalled towns celebrated the 14th day of the month of Adar with gladness and feasting as a holiday, and as for sending presents to one another. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters to all the Jews near and far who were in the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, and established among the 14th and 15th days of the month of Adar, and the days which the Jews had rest from their enemies, as the month which was turned from sorrow to joy for them, and from mourning to a holiday, that they should make themselves a feasting of joy, sending presents to one another and gifts to the poor. So the Jews accepted the custom which they had begun, as Mordecai had written them. Because Haman, the son of Hadath the Agagite, and the enemy of the Jews, had plotted against the Jews to annihilate them and cast pur, that is a lot, to consume them and destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letter that this wicked plot which Haman had devised against the Jews should return on his own head, and that he and his son should be hanged on the gallows. So they called these days Purim, after the name Pur. Therefore, because of all the words of the letter, what they had seen concerning this matter, and what happened to them, the Jews established and imposed it upon themselves and their descendants and all who would join them, that without fail they would celebrate these 2 days every year according to the written instructions and according to the prescribed time, that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, every city, and all the days of Purim should not fail to be observed among the Jews, and that the memory of them should not perish among their descendants. Then Queen Esther, the daughter of Abadal, with Mordecai the Jew, wrote with full authority to confirm the second letter of Purim. And Mordecai sent the letter to all the Jews, the 127 provinces of King Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim at their appointed time, as Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther had prescribed for them. And they had decreed for themselves and their descendants concerning the matter of their fasting and laminating. So the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, as is written in the book. And King Xerxes imposed tribute on the land and all the islands of the sea. Now all the acts of his power and his might, and the account of his greatness of Mordecai, to which the king advanced him, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was second to King Xerxes, and was great among the Jews, as well as received by the multitude of his brethren, seeking the good of his people and speaking peace to all his countrymen. 1 Corinthians 12:27 through 13. Now you are the body of Christ, and members individually. And God has appointed these to the church: first apostles, second prophets, third teachers, after that miracles, then gifts of healing, helps, administration, varieties of tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? All miracles of workers of miracles? Do all have gifts of healing? Do all speak with tongues? Do all interpret? But earnestly desire the best gifts, and yet I show you a more excellent way. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I have become a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all the mysteries and knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but I have not love, it profits me nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, desires, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understand as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away my childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I am known. And now abide in faith, hope, and love. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Psalms 37, 1 through 11. A psalm of David. Do not fret because of evildoers, nor be envious of the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as a green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and feed his faithfulness. Feed on his faithfulness. Delight yourselves in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your hearts. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he shall bring it to pass. He shall bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your justice as the noonday. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who brings the wicked schemes to pass. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Do not fret, it only causes harm. For evildoers shall be cut off, but those who wait on the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. Yet for a little while, and the wicked shall be no more. Indeed, you shall look carefully for his place, but it shall be no more. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Proverbs 21, 23, and 24. Whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from troubles. A proud and haughty man, scoffer is his name, and he acts with arrogant pride. See y'all tomorrow.